What's going on, guys? Brandon here, back with another video today, and today we're going to be talking about goldfish and how to keep them. So let's get straight into it. So the first thing I want to do is talk about a little bit about goldfish. Goldfish are closely related to carps, are also known as koi fish. They are usually found in the Eastern Asia area of the world. To distinguish the goldfish between a goldfish and a koi, you actually would just look and see if they had little whiskers going on the side of the face, because that's what kois have, but goldfish don't. There are many types of breeds of goldfish, just like there are betas with veil tails and all those ones. For goldfish, there are actually some fish called fancy goldfish, which are ranchus or randas, fantails, lionheads, a whole bunch of other different ones, and they vary in different sizes and shapes. The most common one is literally the common goldfish or the comet, which are like the little orange goldfishes you see at carnivals or at in like movies. Common goldfish and comets can usually get up to about a foot and a half long, and fancy goldfish usually get anywhere from around 8 inches, give or take a few inches. I actually have 3 goldfish, being all different breeds. I have the one in the middle there is Pippi. She's a black and deep orange. She is my only Aranda in the tank. And you can see Dudley, my orange and white fantail. And then the one that is fully yellow, that's in the back there a little bit, you can see he's kind of like digging for the plants in the back there. That is Chuckles, my common goldfish. So I have a fantail, a common, and a Aranda in this tank. Goldfish are actually right next to betas on one of the top fish that are abused in the aquarium hobby. So not only are they thrown into little bowls where they try to live the rest of their lives in when people get them, they are actually used as live bait for other fish, and they tend to be in these big tanks at pet stores with a whole bunch of other goldfish in there, and it's just a swarm of orange or whatever color they are in there, and you don't know what goes wrong in those equations. You don't know what happens in the tank, and they are used for live fish, and it's just horrible. Goldfish are considered a cold water fish, so they don't need a heater in their tank, although they can live with one in a tank just like mine does. The best water temperatures for goldfish is anywhere between 68 to 74 degrees. Just be careful if you use a heater, because rapid changes in water temperature can be harmful to your goldfish. The pH levels for a goldfish tank aren't anything you should really overdo it with, but they should be in between a 7.0 and an 8.4. You should also make sure you're using water conditioner every time you either add a new goldfish in the tank or adding new water to your goldfish tank. I believe you should do a water change about every other week, about 33%, but if you're going to do it weekly, do 20%. Just make sure you get into the gravel and get up all that dirt, because goldfish are the dirtiest fish in the hobby. Too many times have I heard stories of people coming up to me and telling me, oh, my goldfish died. And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry to hear that. But what's my first thing I ask? What tank size did you have it in? And they go, I was supposed to have it in a tank? That makes me livid, because that is just terrible. Obviously, they either put them in a cup or a bowl, and that's the biggest reason why the fish didn't live, and you could have done so much off the bat just to save your fish right there. The tank sizes you should have for goldfish should vary on the breed of the goldfish. So if you have a common or a comet, I recommend having a 20 gallons of water per goldfish. And if you have a fancy goldfish, like, Arandas, Backmores, any of those guys, you should have 10 gallons of water per gallon. Meaning, when I say per gallon, what I mean is basically that if I have a common goldfish in my 20-gallon tank, that is perfectly fine, because he'll grow up and be about a good enough size for the tank if he's by himself. But if I get another common goldfish, I'm going to want to get a 40-gallon tank to make sure it's double the amount of last time. So 20 gallons per goldfish for commons and comets. But if I have an Aranda and a tank by himself, he can be in a 10-gallon, but I don't recommend that in general. But if you have 2 fancy goldfishes like I do, you should want at least a 20-gallon. So it's basically like that. Every time you get another fish, just add on to what it is. That's what I mean by per gallon. Some goldfish, like commons and comets, can live outside in ponds even through the winter, because what happens is the top layer of the pond will freeze over, and then they'll just eat the algae from underneath the ice that builds up during the winter, and they can survive harsh cold water climates as long as the entire pond doesn't freeze over. Now, when it comes to fancy goldfish, they can live in ponds outside too, but they are very vulnerable to predators as they're not very good swimmers, and you wouldn't definitely not want to leave them outside when it comes to wintertime because they are really susceptible to dying from cold. Goldfish tend to get along with any other peaceful fish that's about it's in its size range. You don't want to get one that's smaller, even if it's peaceful, because what happens is if it's small enough, a goldfish will eat it. A goldfish will eat anything you put in its mouth, and it can fit in its mouth. You wouldn't want to get any fin nippers, meaning like platies, mollies, or usually any smaller tropical fish can tend to be fin nippers, and you don't want that because those will ruin your beautiful goldfish's fins, and you really just don't want that. Goldfish should be kept with other fish that can tolerate the cold weather because you don't want to turn up the heat on these guys because what happens is it can cause messed up stomachs, it can cause diseases, and eventually death, and you do not want to deal with that. One great take mate for goldfish are Dogologists, or also known as weather loaches. They are really unique bottom feeders that'll clean up any wasted food that your goldfish doesn't finish. They're naturally peaceful and are really funny looking. They can get up to about 6 inches in size. As you can see with my Dogologists noodles, they are pretty active creatures always looking for food at the bottom of your tank or even swimming along goldfish in a playful manner. When it comes to the diet of the goldfish, I recommend feeding your goldfish twice daily. That's what I do with mine. I do a healthy diet of flakes in the morning and then pellets at night. So I use Omega 1. It's one of the best brands. It has no artificial preservatives, and it has a lot of pea protein. On the subject of peas as well, you can actually thaw out some peas and deshell them and then cut them into little tiny pieces and actually feed them to your goldfish. It's really good. It's like they're veggies basically. Just make sure, like I said, that you cut it small enough to where they can eat it because you don't want them to choke on it. Also, make sure to take out the leftover peas out of the bottom of the tank if your goldfish didn't eat it, because it's just nasty and it can mess up to the tank parameters, and you don't want that to happen. I don't have that problem because I have my Dogologists that I was mentioning earlier, and he'll just go on the bottom and clean up any peas that are left over that the goldfish didn't eat. Alright guys, so that's everything that I thought that you guys would like to know about goldfish and how to keep them. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments. Also, if you watched this video and it helps you out with your goldfish, also leave it in the comments. I would love to know. If you're getting a goldfish anytime soon, anything like that, leave it in the comments. If you guys like the video, make sure to like and subscribe, and I'm out.